There was a car came up for sale. Hello again, welcome back to the Unloved JDM channel. Now, it's been a while since, well, I uploaded a video, quite frankly, and that's because we've been busy and there's a lot going on. And in this video, I'm going to catch you up on everything that's happened, everything that's happening, and things that were already done that you kind of missed out on. Where do we start? I'll show you where we start. So it happened once again. If you've seen the channel for a little while, you kind of know how this goes by now. But bottom line is, there was a car came up for sale, and it's a car that needed a little bit of work. But it's a car with a difference compared to what I usually buy it. Again, if you're used to the channel. So the last thing that I bought that you saw was the white Skyline. And when I did that, I played a little game with James and Tony and Bruce and pretty much everybody else. And I told nobody what I was buying and I told nobody any details about it, but I had a little bit of a change this time. So I said to them, now bear in mind this is Friday morning. I did this deal on Sunday night, and on Monday night I went to collect the car, which is sort of 3 hours away from where I live. And my truck ran into an issue, and there's one thing after another, mechanical failure, and ultimately let me down, so I didn't make it at all. Since then, they've been waiting to find out what this car is. They have no idea. The information that I've given was simple. It's Japanese, and I'm pretty sure I let on that it was turbocharged. Now you'll see the car in a minute. So this time there's no road trip video. As I say, I went and got this last night, and yesterday was a real long day. Got in the truck at 6 o'clock in the morning and got out of the truck just after midnight last night. So it was quite a long day and a lot of work involved, but not all just to do with this car. Hence why you didn't see much, because I was quite tired. So there we go. Right, I will drive this to the garage now, and James will already be there waiting to see it. And as I said, he has no idea what it is, but we'll get his reaction to it. Morning.
I'm not even going to ask.
Why?
Yeah, why?
Bug Brothers.
You don't like wagging?
I know. It's turbo though.
Fair enough.
Alright, so I've done playing the game with him now. So James had 2 guesses on this. This was either going to be a Turbo Civic or a Turbo MX-5. Nobody knows why, but they was his guesses. So we're going to set about unloading it now, as James is already in. And then once it's off the truck, we'll go through and see what I know is already wrong with it, which is one thing that might make it fun getting off the truck. But I'll show you that in a minute. Alright, so walking you through this thing as we go, there's a reason that I'm stood behind the car now. So we brought it off the truck, got it inside, and put some oil in it just so that it was safe enough to run. Obviously, you know what Subaru's like, we don't want to cause oil starvation issues. Long story short, we ran it for probably less than 60 seconds, and the secret that we sort of expected to happen, happened, which I'll show you in a second. Now, bear in mind, this car was very, very cheap. It was cheap for a reason. I knew what I was getting myself into, and obviously, if you know me and know what I'm like with these things, I'm not scared of Subaru engines at all. Let me show you this. So, as I said, ran it for less than a minute, and the cooling system pressurized, and milkshake went absolutely everywhere as soon as James pulled the cap off. That happened. But again, Subaru, you expect it. And all those memes of everybody doing the Subaru head gaskets, guess what we're doing? Subaru head gasket. As I said, let's start as it means go on and get this engine pulled out, because it's made a really nice mess of my floor already. But she's up there. We'll start on the bottom. And the bottom of the car is actually really, really clean. Before anybody notices it and asks, it does not have calipers on it, but that's something that we've got for it. That's why the bottle's there full of brake fluid. Nice. But the bottom, it's also covered now, so it'll probably never rust. But underneath, it's actually really solid. So I'm all right with that. Anyway, engine out. So this one's not going to stay long term. This is now all repaired, re-MOT'd, done all the usual stuff, and this one will be getting sold. And it is actually a really clean car, 95,000 miles, quite decent underneath. The only little bits of scabs are on the rear arches, and it's really not that bad at all. Full service history on it as well, so once it's all done, it'll get cleaned up. We'll spend a little bit of time on just making it look pretty, and that'll be up for sale hopefully in the next few days. Right, follow me this way. So, the Lexus. Everybody keeps asking me about this, and frankly this is the one thing that we actually lost a load of footage when we did it, and when it was completed, once again, we were out of time to film it, and we just had to crack on between everything else that's gone on around here recently. This is now completely done, running, driving, amazing. I'll show you some clips of that in a minute, but we've done all the work on it, it's been MOT'd, it's got everything it needs to have on it to support it. It seems really happy and it drives amazing. So this will be leaving us, I believe, next week. So that'll be another space in the garage, which brings me on to something else. Before we go and take this outside, there is a couple more cars coming to the channel which nobody knows about yet, essentially. Haven't been shown, haven't been anything. So if you want to know what those are, well, you feel free to make your guesses in the comments. But if you want to know what they are, make sure you subscribe and you'll see them. But as I say, we'll take this thing out in a minute. And I'll show you a little bit more of it where it's at. One of the things that I will say for this build is it's gone really well. It had a couple of teething issues with wiring and fuel and stuff like that, but now it seems so happy and so smooth. And the beautiful thing about this car is it's just so drivable, genuinely impressive to drive. So I'm happy with how it came out. It sounds amazing, it goes well, cannot fault it at all. Right, so we've acquired also a couple of new things, and one of them being this camper. Long story short, there's a local van. Deal came up. Yes, it wants a ton of work. No, I don't know what I'm doing with it yet. And no, it's not Japanese, it's VW, obviously. But obviously, I'll give you a little bit of a look at that. And I don't entirely know what I'm doing with it yet, as I said. It was just an opportunity to buy it. So I did. And we'll figure it out as we go along. Alright, so we've also lost a few cars, as well as gained a few cars and built a few cars. One of the things that has gone is the white Skyline. Again, if you've seen this on Instagram, Facebook or whatever else, you'll already know this, but the decision was made that with what we're doing at the moment and what's upcoming, we will not get round to building it. And ultimately, I've already built one, and that's kind of the way I want it to be. So I've done that one, I've done it for myself. And if I was to build the other one, I would have never kept it or I'd benefit from doing it, let's say. So that was gone, it's sold. Went to a great guy not too far from here. Absolutely loves it, looking forward to building it, and he's going to potentially do it himself over the next couple of years. So it's not the last we'll see of it, potentially, but it's the last time we'll be building it, if you know what I mean. Unless plans change and he comes back and he says, will you build it for me? That's an idea for you. But for ourselves, we can't do it at the moment, so that's another one that has gone. Obviously, as we know, the RX-8, the Celica, and a few other cars I got rid of earlier this year just to make some space, and a few weeks ago I did it again, and that's when the white Skyline disappeared. So a lot of people are also asking what's happening with the FTO, and that's going to be its own little video. I'm not going to show you any of that in this one, but there has been some serious progress made on that car because it was a serious ton of work. But as I say, that'll be its own video, so make sure you subscribe and you'll see how. Alright, so over the summer, it's also been, as I say, we've taken a little bit of time of filming as well, but it's also been a little bit of a roller coaster, especially for me, an emotional one, because of this thing. Now, the reason it looks like it does, I'm going to come to in a minute, and the reason you've missed out on some steps, I'll also come to in a minute. So over the summer, these are what I'm going to show you now, some of the clips that we've created from having it on the road. Essentially, we got it done, we got it driving. It went to a Bangers and Cash event not too far from here. And for that, we essentially stayed real late one night. When I say me, it was me, James and Tony, the Unloved crew. We made sure everything was usable, drivable, and it got it MOT'd, got it running, got it driving, and a whole lot of fun doing it, even though it was a late night. So these are the clips from there. Good morning and welcome back to What the Hell Are We Doing here at 4:30 for 5:30 in the morning, whatever time it is now. I think James is probably as sleepy as me. But long story short, we were here till late last night trying to get this thing ready because today's the day of the Bangers and Cash live event. That is the big 2-day event thing. We got invited to it, long story short, so we need to be up, set up and in there pretty early. And the Skyline still looks like that at this time. So yesterday I spent half of the day painting, which is why the front wings, the front bumper, the spoiler, and all the bits and pieces on the floor are still not on it yet, and even though it's like 2 hours away from when we need to be there, this is where we're at, so I thought I'd show you. Wish us luck.
He's filming.
So, those last couple of clips are from a few days ago where we took this thing out and it was kind of the furthest that it had been, but I don't think that is related to what happened. Long story short, it was driving perfectly fine, not too far from home, probably about 45 minutes from home. Came up a little bit of an incline in the road, would not accelerate, felt a little bit weird. Tony was behind me at this point in the Civic, and he said afterwards, he said at that point it was a little bit smoky behind it. He actually thought it was fog, ironically. All of a sudden, as I say, wouldn't accelerate, dropped down to 4th gear, same thing, wouldn't pick up. So once it started doing that, it was just one thing after led to another. So changed down to 4th gear, as I say, tried to accelerate, it would not pick up in the slightest. And then for some reason, at that point, I didn't know why, the engine cut out. I was still doing the sort of 60 mile an hour rolling. Thankfully, at that point, I got up the incline, I was coming back down the other side. You could see a lay-by about 1/4 mile down the road. Anyway, long story short, pulled into there, pulled the bonnet, and the turbo itself was just glowing, quite bright red for the cruising speed that we were doing. Isn't really right, so there's obviously mechanical failure gone on there. Listened to it a little bit further, tried to crank it over. Once we got it back in here, as I said, as these pictures show, it was on the back of the truck. Got it back in here, and it was essentially a catastrophe. The oil pump looks like it's failed, even though it had some kind of oil pressure on the dashboard when I was driving it, because I kept an eye on it. But then the bottom end of the engine has cylinders 1 and 6 have, the bearings have gone, basically. It's bottom end, and it's ruined the crank in doing so. So at the moment, unfortunately, that is back off the road, sat up there, waiting for the engine to be rebuilt again. Which is a bit of a shame. So that's where that's at for now. Obviously it was very personal to me to have that thing on the road. But as you've seen from those clips, it did actually look quite good for the period of time that it was on the road. So that's where that's at for now. Hey, real? Yeah. So another thing I've gained over the summer is this little pooch. This is our young pup. Well, I say young, completely sausage. We don't entirely know how old she is, but she's the new family pet, which we were looking for a long time. We managed to get her over the summer. Another reason we've had a little bit of time off. She is absolutely amazing to have in the house. And great fun to have at the garage, even though it distracts everybody because she's so sweet. Aren't you, babe? Good girl. You are. Haha. Another awesome little thing that's happened over the summer a couple of times, and it's happened a lot more locally as well. Obviously when you do something like this, you get recognised by a lot more people, and it's not even always from YouTube, it's just from the garage and the business and the Facebook page and Instagram and everything else. We've had a couple of visits this summer from fans from different areas taking pictures outside the garage, which we absolutely love. Even if we're busy, we will always make a moment to talk to people, or at least do our best and give you a sticker as well. So there you go, that's something to consider. And if you do take any pictures around the garage or anything like that, make sure you tag us in them. Those two are our socials, so make sure you tag us in because we like to see it as well. And the Unloved Garage itself has its own Facebook page, which is also linked below. Other than that, there is a lot of stuff coming up, and I know that that's how you're supposed to say it, but the point is there is a lot of stuff coming up. And in September, we're going to be filming a lot of the stuff that's going on. We are, by all means, busy. And I'm sure you'll like some of this stuff. So there we go, that's it for now. Thank you very much for watching. As I say, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.